I want to talk about Alien Romulus for a little bit. Now, when I first saw the trailer for this movie, I was super excited for it. I went to the theater to watch it back in August of 24 when it came out. And then when I left that theater, I got in my car and I just could not stop thinking about how much I hated it. And the thing I think that bothered me the most about it was the fact that it didn't feel like it was an alien movie that could stand on its own. There were so many callbacks to the previous films that every time one would pop up towards the end of the film, my eyes would roll back into my head so hard I almost went blind. It got to the point where I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. Please stop with this. And I remember thinking after that initial viewing, like, I didn't care about any of the characters. I thought some of the special effects were amazing, but there were a few, most notably with the character Ash, that were a little on the wonky side. And then the ending felt like I was watching cutscenes from the Call of Duty franchise. It's so hectic, and our character almost has to be supernatural to survive what she survived, that it just kind of left me feeling bored, honestly. So I decided to watch it again on streaming the other day, and I've had a chance to let my feelings sink in, let it brew a little bit. And if you were to ask me what was the weakest film in the Alien franchise, and I mean just the Alien franchise, not the Alien versus Predator or anything like that, just Alien, Alien 1, Alien 2, Alien 3, Prometheus, Covenant, Resurrection. Now this, I would have told you that Romulus was the weakest in the franchise. But okay, after my newest rewatch, I'm not 100% sure I feel that same way, but it's close. The same things still bother me on my initial, as my initial watch did. The characters, I don't really care about them. Andy was cool, but the other ones are just there for alien food, honestly. The worst one by far is Bjorn, and I honestly, my initial watch of the movie at the theater, I could not tell you a single character's name besides Andy. This time, I made notes of the names and tried to actively pay attention to the characters' names, and that way maybe I put a little bit of feeling to them. But no, Bjorn, he was just being a dick to be a dick. I mean, Navarro, I don't know what her purpose was on the ship. And there is one, the pregnant one. I cannot remember her name. And Tyler, I think, the other one, who was kind of Rain's boyfriend, love interest, but not really. But at the end, it doesn't matter because they all bite the dust, and some of them do it in the dumbest way. Like Bjorn, he lays on the ground and gets acid dripped on him and continues to lay there until it lands on his chest and apparently blows up his heart. This whole part was very confusing to me. I did not know how he died. I actually had to look it up to find out what was going on because it was not very well done. The effects look cool as hell with the flesh being eaten through, and he tried to wipe off the acid with his hands, and his fingers, are disintegrating, and that was well done. But as far as him dying, I was like, I don't know what killed him other than because he just like a chest burster pops out of his chest and he's dead. But there was no chest burster, so I was kind of confused. The character Tyler, he tries to have this heroic end, but even as much time as we did spend with the character, I did not care about him. And his ending, actually, his death actually goes out in a pretty brutal way, and it kind of takes away any sympathy. I don't want to see all that. I want to make it up in my head. I want to, like when Dallas gets taken in the very first Alien film, you don't see that happening. You hear it. You get a glimpse of the alien coming up into the air ducts, but you don't actually see Dallas getting attacked. And I think that makes it a whole lot scarier, a whole lot more sympathetic for Dallas. There's a line towards the end of this movie where Andy saves Rain by jumping down this elevator shaft, landing on the alien. He has the pulse rifle. He unloads it into the alien. And then he has to say, "Get away from her, you bitch." Now, when I initially watched it at the theater, I groaned. Because one, I'm like, there's no reason for him to say this. It comes off as just Easter egg material, and honestly, it's the worst line in the entire movie. But on second watch through that I did catch a few times where Bjorn calls Andy a bitch. So Andy kind of, I think, takes that as a derogatory term, which he should, and uses that at this moment when he takes out the alien. But it did not connect with me the first time around. And I feel like if it doesn't connect with your first initial watch through, it's just going to come off as a hokey Easter egg. The ending of this movie, I absolutely hated. The space station going into the rings was beautiful. This movie is beautiful. It does a great job of the environment, making the environment look gritty and lived in. The ships, all of the ships look extremely impressive. And the explosion and the tearing apart of that space station when it hits those rings is mesmerizing to watch. But I'm talking about the baby. It is a complete ripoff of Alien Resurrection, but done so in a way. It is creepier. It is a lot creepier than Alien Resurrection. I remember seeing Alien Resurrection in the theater, and I laughed out loud when I saw the newborn in Resurrection. This alien looks really cool. He's freaky, and I enjoyed that aspect of it. But I'm talking about that overboard, over the top aspect of Rain getting pulled out into space and having to manually eject the cargo and hanging as the ship is slowly lowering closer and closer and closer to rings, and she has to pull herself up. It felt like she had superpowers at one point, and I didn't like that. It had a jump scare for reasons with a terribly done CGI newborn. He looked trash at this point, and she manages to climb up the cable, get to the control room, and pull the ship up and fly off safety. So, congratulations. That felt very video game-esque. And speaking of video games, There was a moment where they turn off the gravity and Rain unloads her pulse rifle into the aliens that are coming toward them, leaving a pool of acid floating in the air so that it doesn't hit the space station floor and eat through the floor and cause a breach. I thought this was really clever when they decided to turn off the gravity. But then they have to make their way through that, and it was, again, very video game-esque. It felt like the swimming level on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle video game. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It just totally felt, again, like she almost has superpowers. Same way with the elevator shaft scene. It felt like she almost has superpowers. Right now, as it stands, I feel like Alien Romulus is the worst film in the franchise. But that being said, I'm going to go back and I'm going to rewatch every single Alien movie. And then I'm going to properly grade it after I'm done. So stay tuned. I'll be starting with Alien and working my way through. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you on the Alien episode.